going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back with another transfer window update. Obviously, not long to go. The clock is ticking down big time on the transfer window. Obviously, we've got Bergwijn in, we've got Jedson Fernandez in, and we've sealed the deal for Giovanni Lo Celso. With a lot of rumours, a lot of strikers, target men rumoured linked with us. Obviously, Willian Jose, that's not happening. He's in the squad for Real Sociedad tonight, and Piatek was in the squad and started last night for AC Milan. But is there any update about Piatek?
Yeah, Piatek looks like he's on the way to Hertha Berlin. A large variety of highly reliable sources have been reporting that he's literally on the verge of joining Hertha Berlin on a permanent deal because they're prepared to pay the 30 million euros that AC Milan have been asking. Whether this all turns out to be a plan from AC Milan to try and get Spurs to up the bid, or whether this is actually happening. It looks like it's happening. Everywhere is reporting it. So it looks like Piatek looks like we're about to lose out on him. So that's another striker to tick off the list in terms of our pursuit for a striker.
Yeah, it's annoying, but I think it's only annoying just because the lack of actual quality strikers we're actually linked with. I don't think Piatek was one that really excited me at all. But just as a case, if it's a case of either Piatek or Olivier Giroud, then I think that I would rather have Piatek.
Yeah.
Just because of his age as well. And also, Mourinho said that any striker or any player we get in is in a view for the future. We're not going to get short-term options in. So Giroud one doesn't really make sense. But let's talk about Giroud.
Yeah, we'll talk about Giroud because apparently a few sources have been tweeting there's still strong interest from Spurs.
But first of all, We Are Tottenham TV had exclusivity on this.
We actually made a video about it before anyone else even spoke about Giroud. So props to us, I think.
Exactly. We actually broke this story to you all, so give us the credit we deserve.
And so Giroud, looks like we're still interested in him, and it looks like that looks like this is the cheapest option. So obviously, it's probably the one we're most interested in. Yeah. Classic Spurs. Apparently, he wants to stay in London.
Yeah.
He's rejecting offers from Lazio and from Inter Milan and from Aston Villa because he wants to move to Spurs. But he now believes apparently that Chelsea will sanction the move. So it's all about getting it over the line. But
I think it all depends on if Chelsea get another striker in, and it looks like they're in for Dries Mertens at the moment.
Yeah, which is an interesting one. Another one who's ageing, but he has for a player who's ageing, but his main asset is pace.
Yeah,
it's a weird one for going in for that, because at least with Giroud, he was never the fastest. So his main assets have never been about pace. It's all about strength and hold up play. And you don't really lose that too much of age, but pace you definitely do. So Mertens is an interesting one if Chelsea actually sign him. Maybe that could be the case, that it could all be a domino effect. Chelsea sign Mertens, we sign Giroud, and it goes on. Yeah. But what do you think? For me, the Giroud signing, obviously, look, he used to play for Arsenal, Chelsea.
So Willie Gallas when we signed him.
Yeah, not the best of reputations among Spurs fans. I've always thought of him as a decent player, a decent striker. I think he's got a very good quality on the ball, a very good first touch, a really good first touch, Berbatov-esque in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think that good of a first touch he has. Very good first time finishes in the box, really good aerially, obviously strong. We know what we're going to get with Giroud, but obviously in the past couple of years, we've been very inconsistent in terms of his finishing in front of goal. 5 Premier League goals, I think, in the past 2 years since he signed for Chelsea.
He hasn't had that many minutes, though.
He's been second choice pretty much all the time. And also one to add, he scores important goals. He scored a goal in Europa League final against Arsenal, in FA Cup semi-final for Chelsea as well, I think, against Southampton, I think. So he does tend to pop up in vital scenarios. But I think, for me, why I would actually not be too against his signing is because of the role he plays for France. And I think that role, everyone goes on about how he had a bad World Cup, he didn't score any goals, blah, blah. You look at the players around him, how good World Cups they had, and that's no coincidence.
And Giroud was starting pretty much
he started every game. And the team, actually, if you remember rightly, they couldn't click at the beginning because they had Giroud on the bench. They started Griezmann up front, and they were failing to click. All of a sudden, they put Giroud up front, had Griezmann in behind, Mbappe on the right. All of a sudden, all the players are clicking. He makes players around him better. That's what's good about him. he can get the best out of players like Son, like Bergwijn now, Dele Alli, with his touches, his hold-up play, bringing players into play, little through balls. He's very good at that kind of stuff. So even if he's not going to be the most consistent goal scorer, I wouldn't expect that if he did come. I would expect him to kind of get the best attacking output out of other attacking players, and we know how much potential they have.
Yeah. No,
that's the only good thing I would say.
No, I agree with you. All the points you made are true, but it's just like...
It doesn't inspire much
excitement. A guy who spent his best years at Arsenal, then went to Chelsea to retire kind of thing, coming to Spurs for a second retirement. It just doesn't sit right with me. And
it's not an exciting signing.
It's not, but I get your point in that, saying that all these players need a target man up there and need someone who can link up the play together. So in terms of, if you ask me if I would take Giroud over no one, obviously I'll take Giroud. But I think with what we're trying to achieve, we need to be looking at spending more money on a target man. That's the truth of the matter. But when you look at it, and when you look at the three strikers we've been linked with, Willian Jose, Piatek, and Giroud, Giroud's probably the best option out of those three. The other two are very, very high risk signings because you don't know what they're going to be like in the Premier League.
Yeah.
When you're talking about Giroud, he's been there, he's done it. He's performed at the highest level. He's performed in the Premier League and he's performed at World Cups and he's performed doing the job that we need him to do. So
I think Giroud would be perfect, absolutely perfect in that Llorente role, which we had last season.
Llorente or Giroud?
I think Giroud. I think he's just about a better player. I love Llorente, but I think Giroud offers a bit more quality.
You said you were in love with Llorente last season.
I was in love with Llorente. Oh, man, he was such a beautiful man last season. But it's a tough one. I think Giroud obviously is not the most exciting of names, and he's an old player. He's a
player that's rubbed us up the wrong way so many times, you know.
But he's got on the wrong side of Arsenal, which puts him back in the good books.
Yeah, that's true.
You're off in the Europa League final after you going, thank you, Arsenal. That's what he did. I was like, all right.
Yeah, it's true, but it was for Chelsea.
Still, he got them not playing Champions League football. That was a bit of a rinse on Arsenal, that one.
It was. Yeah, you're right. Look, I think from now until the end of the season, it probably will be a good signing, but for him starting every game from now until the end of the season,
But you just got to look at it as we're signing him as a way to make our team better, not for him to be banging the goals. We're not going to be relying, personally I hope so, we're not going to be relying on him to be scoring. We're just going to be relying on him to help our team be functioning better, which I think he could do.
Yeah, no, you're probably right.
That's the way I see it. But I think Willian Jose is back in the Sociedad squad, as you said. We'll wait to be seen whether he actually plays tonight. I guess we'll look forward to the team news. They play at 8 o'clock. But I think clearly what's been going on with strikers is we're not prepared to pay more than 10 million, apparently.
Yeah.
Because apparently that's what we offer Piatek, that's what we offer Willian Jose, and I'm sure Giroud will be a lot cheaper than that. And the fact that Piatek's going for 30 million euros, which in this current market is very, very cheap, shows how reluctant we are to be spending the money.
Yeah.
Willian Jose as well. Apparently they only want 21 million for him. We're only prepared to spend 11, or not willing to go above that figure. So looks like we're going cheap on strikers.
But it makes sense because you don't want to overpay for these Piateks, for these Willian Joses. If you're going to overpay for a proper striker, you know what I mean?
But it's 20 million. It's not much.
Yeah.
In this current market, it's kind of low risk.
Like.
Yeah, the penny pincher. I thought, to be fair to Daniel Levy, I think getting Bergwijn in was a very good deal. 27 million for a young winger with versatility and a lot of potential, and a lot of quality. So
the Celso speaks for itself at the moment.
And that came out of nowhere, Bergwijn. Remember that? Literally, no one was reporting it. One day, he just left out the PSV squad, and he's signing for Spurs.
Maybe a surprise will crop up over the next couple of days.
You never know, Lee. Van der Vaart, no one reported that until after the window was closed. So the
fax machine was broken or something.
Exactly. So look, we could spring a surprise. It looks like Piatek's off the table, so it's up between Willian Jose now and Giroud.
Well, it looks like Willian Jose's off the table as well, to be honest.
And that does look off the table as well. However, remains to be seen. You never know until anything's finalised. So clearly he wants to move, Willian Jose still. So if they can get a deal done there, it looks like that does look like that's also off the table. So.
Well, at the moment,
Giroud
looks like our only option, to be honest.
Looks like our most likely option.
It looks like the most likely one. Yeah, I was looking at the odds of it yesterday. It went from 21-1 down to 10-1, down to 6-1, and now it's like nearly evens.
Yeah, so
Giroud to come to Spurs. But let's move on to a few outgoings. Danny Rose.
Yeah.
A few clubs are interested in him.
Sky Sports are now reporting that Newcastle are the firm favourites to get Danny Rose, and they're trying to get the deal done. I think it's time for him to move on. I think there are also reports that Danny Rose has realised it's probably best if he moves on at this point instead of digging his heels in.
Exactly, he's just damaging himself and the club. So, like, it's time for him to move on.
And I think Jose clearly, by what he said in his press conference, isn't a fan of him, isn't a fan of how it's performing, or maybe it's an attitude problem. I'm not sure what it is, but he said he left him out of the squad due to his performance analysis and the data he receives, and he thinks he's not good enough to be in the squad. And clearly, when Tanganga is playing left back, you got to be thinking, yeah, it's probably time to move on. So
yeah, well, Danny Rose, he hasn't done it for a good number of years now. He had a few couple of good performances at the back end of last season, but apart from that,
yeah,
he hasn't really done it for a while, and his attitude stinks, to be honest.
He's past his best, I think. And look, he had some great years at us, and I think he did show passion. I think he did care for the club, but I think
he didn't have that many years at the top, though.
In a couple of years, I think half a season in Poch's first season, he started to turn well.
Since he started speaking to the Sun, it all went downhill from there, really.
I think he had a long injury and things started going to his head, and he saw Walker getting the big move and the big money, and he's like, why aren't I getting that? I was just as good as Walker in that season.
Better.
Exactly. So things probably got to his head, but he didn't realise that, look, he had a long injury, 6 months. He has to be concentrated on getting back to his best before he starts talking and saying all these things, and he didn't. He took his eye off the ball. And this is what happened. He caused some bad blood between him and the club. His performances didn't rise again until probably the back end of last season. And then he's paying the price for it. And he concentrated on the wrong things, in my opinion. Concentrated too much on what his mate was doing and this and that, instead of getting his football right.
In football, you've got to keep to yourself. You've got to stay on the track, stay on the clear path, not look at what other footballers are doing. You know what I mean? Just concentrate on yourself and self-development. And he didn't do that, really. So
and that's what cost him, I think.
Yeah, and it is what it is with Danny Rose. All right, and now let's talk about Kyle Walker-Peters, because some news has come in regarding him. He's apparently leaving the club on loan to Southampton for the rest of the season, which rubs me up a bit the wrong way, just because I've heard that Cedric Suarez might be on his way to Arsenal, and we could be facilitating that.
Just like we've facilitated Ozil to Arsenal, but not quite on that level. But yeah, he has joined Southampton, that's confirmed now, joined Southampton till the end of the season on loan. They've beaten competition from Crystal Palace, who looked for all the world to see a few days ago that they were going to sign him, but he's opted for Southampton. I think that's better for his development. I think Southampton are a good attacking side.
Southampton are always a good place to develop. They've got a good youth academy, and they really take care of their youngsters over there. But in terms of Kyle Walker-Peters, I really haven't been excited with him in the past year or two. He just looks like another Kyle Naughton to me, to be honest.
At the beginning of the season, he started a few games. Everyone was wondering, is he going to be our starting right back? But it became evident that he just doesn't have the quality. Many people think he's been ruined because he never went on loan earlier in his career. He always stayed at Spurs, never got the minutes to develop his game, and now he's being thrust into the first team action without really being able to adjust in these run of games. So maybe given 6 months of Premier League football, and he could turn out to be good, but we'll have to wait and see. If he gets 22.
The thing is with Kyle Walker-Peters, I don't think he'll ever be like a top 6 player. But I do think maybe bottom half of the Premier League, like mid-table, I think he'll do well there. But I think top 6 probably a bit too far for him.
To me, at the moment, and it's harsh to say, he does look a bit like a championship player at the moment for me.
Yeah.
And I think he needs to show a bit of confidence, a bit of... he needs to kind of input himself on that role. He needs to be able to dominate the right-hand side, or at least have the confidence to kind of take people on, get crosses in, show his attacking intent. I think defensively, he's half decent, but I think an attacking point of view, I need to see more from him. I know he's had games where he's had a few assists, but it's usually been games where we've dominated possession, like a home to Bournemouth and stuff like that, where it's kind of like been a bit easy for him. When the going gets tough, it's usually Kyle Walker-Peters doesn't really show up. Yeah. So I would like to see how he performs at Southampton. If he gets minutes, if he starts between now and the end of the season, a lot of games, and see how he performs, because Southampton are a good side and they should help him develop, I think. And he should be able to be a flying fullback, getting forward a lot, helping the attack, and it'll be good for him to feel that pressure of playing week in, week out. And
do you think he will play week in, week out?
If Cedric leaves, I think, who else is there right back? I I think he has a good chance. I don't think they have that good. Their right backs aren't like.
Could be Cobble,
Varela as well.
on the wing.
Varella's also been out of favour recently, who's played right back before for them. So if Cedric leaves, it looks like they're going to be putting all their eggs in that basket. So it'll be interesting to see how he does.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be very interesting to see how he does. But yeah, good luck to Kyle Walker-Peters. I hope he comes back stronger. But I'm not holding my breath, to be honest.
I've got a feeling this could be us putting him in the shop window so that we could sell him.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
But it'll be nice to see him joining a team on form as well that really got their tails up at the moment. And maybe he'll make his debut against Tottenham in the replay.
Yeah, good luck, Carl. Good luck.
Oh no, he's on loan, so he can't.
He's on loan, he can't.
But anyway, let's move on, last but not least, to Troy Parrott. Because apparently he's going to move on loan to QPR, is it?
I'm not sure if there's actually a club defender. Could be Charlton, could be QPR.
Yeah, there's a couple names in the hat.
Apparently, we're very interested in getting him to go on loan to a championship club before the end of the window.
It'll be interesting to see how he does in the championship.
Because obviously, look, there's a lot of hype between for the Spurs fans and how much we rate him. Even a lot of Spurs fans even calling for him to be playing, given how good like Greenwood's done this season. But I think if you look at them, I think Greenwood at the moment, as I don't like to say it, but he's on another level at the moment to Parrott. I think physically, whether it's because he's been given the game time, but he's also 17, 18.
Really?
Yeah, so he's also very young. But I think he's far more developed than Parrott is. And the few minutes Parrott has had in competitive games, he hasn't really shown much that he's able to affect games in a positive way as Greenwood has shown.
You know, Jose hit the nail on the head, you know what I mean? He just said he's not ready, and he's not ready. So.
Exactly. He sees him every day in training, and he sees how he is up against the centre-backs that we have. So I want to see him get a loan, get some minutes, get to play some regular football and see how he does, because obviously I'm still excited. Clearly, his guy's potential. Jose believes in him. He's
already been called up to his national team.
He's had a cap, and then Jose believes he could be a very good player for the future. But I think just temper expectations just for now. Just be patient with him, and I would like to see him get a loan.
All right, so there you have it. Like, subscribe, and comment below, and tell us what you think of the Giroud potential transfer. Tell me who you think, is there a better option for a striker out there who you think we should get? Is it time for Danny Rose to leave the club? And is it time for Troy Parrott to go on loan and get some minutes? Let us know in the comment section below. We'll be back tomorrow with some more transfer updates. And as always, come on, you Spurs.